Armenia and U.S. signed a strategic partnership charter this week, and this is very important from multiple of different perspectives. And Georgi and I will talk about, mostly Georgi will talk about what it means for the region. We'll also present some views and reactions from the Russian and Azerbaijan side on this U.S.-Armenia relations, as well as Armenia's strive to reorient its foreign policy away from Russia, more towards the West. So stay tuned for that as well. And if we have time, we'll touch upon some topics related to Ukraine. So with that, Georgi, would you like to add anything before we dive into the
Well,
conversation?
I also want to greet our audience and ask them to hit the like and subscribe and stay with us because we are talking about interesting stuff here. Just to continue, as you said, the most important, in our opinion, event that happened related to the South Caucasus region globally was the signature of Armenia-U.S. Strategic Partnership Charter yesterday between the Secretary of State Blinken and Ararat Mirzoyan, the Foreign Minister of Armenia. The charter is very similar to what we already know as a Georgia-U.S. charter, which is suspended as of several months ago, unfortunately, and is called to strengthen U.S.-Armenia relations in a number of fields. The main, I would not go through all the topics and points over there, but what I want to highlight is that the most important thing for Armenia and for the U.S. in this matter is that the declarative part of the charter actually states that this charter is called to, to enhance peaceful, secure, and independent South Caucasus. So it states from the very beginning that this document, and this kind of relationship has to, to contribute to the peace, stability, and independence of the South Caucasus, which is very important for all the region and not only to Armenia.
Absolutely.
And probably all the points that are, mentioned in these documents are called to strengthen Armenia's ability to contribute towards peace, stability, and independence of the South Caucasus in general. Then, what is most important also from the political, or let's say geopolitical point of view, and that relates to also to the neighboring countries, is the proposition that this charter will provide, foundation for the United States to provide assistance in terms of the building the capacity of border guards and the customs in Armenia. And why it is important, because as we know that the borders of Armenia are basically controlled by the Russian border troops, and this slow process of substitution them with Armenian contingent has started last year from the airport in Yerevan and some checkpoints going to on the road going to Iran, etc., etc. So if the United States will be helping Armenia to basically take over the responsibility for its own borders and will build the capacity for that in this country, that will be crucially important for the country and for the region, because first time after the gaining of independence, Armenia will be able and will be in charge of controlling its own borders.
Yeah.
And this is very important. And that means that some portion of Russian military contingents, meaning the border troops, will be out of the country or out of the region, which is also very important in terms of building not only the capacity but also the trust among the regional countries. The second one, which is also very important in my opinion, is this charter is laying also foundation for opening the doors for the discussions already official, which were already announced, related to the cooperation between the two countries in the energy sector, meaning creation or building a new nuclear power plant, which has to come next to the already existing Metsamur nuclear power plant, which is actually right now is in the hands and under the management of the Russian Energoatom or Rosatom, and basically that also means that the cutting-edge technologies from the United States will come to Armenia and modernize the electricity generation system in the country, plus the very old and I would say dangerous power plant that is basically similar to Chernobyl, and we all remember what happened to Chernobyl in 1986, will be closed down for good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also that also means actually basically enforcing independence, energy independence of Armenia from the Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like there are a few sort of directions in which the U.S. is willing to help Armenia strengthen its own, not only border security and integrity, but also energy independence, which is a huge deal, especially in that region. And to those viewers who may not, let me just very briefly interject to give more context to it. For the viewers who may not be familiar with the geography or how Armenia is limited in some ways, is that Armenia is a landlocked country, and it has relations. It has on the Armenia's neighbors are Georgia in the north, Azerbaijan in the east, very small part with Iran, which is it's in the south. Very small portion of it, and a very large portion of Armenia's border is with Turkey. And Turkey and Armenia have not had diplomatic relations or any sort of border crossing relations since independence, forever, for a very long time. So everything that the Georgi talked about the strategic partnership, considering this fact that Armenia, a small country, is basically pressured from most sides on its borders, except for Georgia, because with Georgia is basically the lifeline for Armenia's being it, at least on the land travel and land communications. And with Georgia, it has no major disputes on the border. It's very important to keep this context in mind when we talk about the strategic partnership and how big of a deal this is for Armenia in particular.